In this lesson, we're going to review different types of figurative language. Some of the types you are very familiar with, you've had them before, and I'm going to introduce to you a few more as well. And remember that figurative language is all about figuring it out. It meaning the meaning of the language that they're using, the type. All right, so there is a difference between figurative and literal language. So literally, words function exactly as they're defined. It's their denotation. Like the car is blue. Literally, the car is blue. He caught the football. Now, figuratively means that based on what the author says, you have to figure out what the author means by it. So it's a more creative way of explaining things. I've got your back. You're a doll. These are all called figures of speech. Okay, so if you look at the picture here, it says, I've got your back. Well, you don't literally have his back, like little stick man pulled out his spine and like is holding his back. Figuratively, you have to think, what does that mean? Well, I've got your back is, I'll support you. I'm there for you. Simile. It's the first type. And this is probably the easiest one and the most common. It is a comparison of two things using the words like or as. Here's some examples. The metal twisted like a ribbon. So you're comparing metal, how it twists, to a ribbon and how a ribbon twists. She is as sweet as candy. Saying how kind she is just like, she's a very sweet person, like candy would be very sweet. So remember, with a simile, it's always a comparison. And this is really, really, really important. You're always comparing two things. Because it's very important that just because an author uses like or as doesn't mean that it's a simile. For example, first, a comparison must be made. That's, like I said in the previous slide, is the most important thing, is a comparison has to be made. So these are not similes. I like pizza. Hey, like is actually the verb in this sentence. It's the action. It's not comparing pizza to anything. It's just saying literally, I like pizza. A simile using pizza would be, the moon is like a pizza, where the verb in this sentence is, it's comparing the moon and pizza using the word like. Okay? So please make sure that just because you see the word like or as, don't automatically assume it's a simile. The next type of figurative language that you already know about is a metaphor. Now, this is another way of making a comparison. And with metaphors, two things are compared without using like or as. But you would use is, are, was, or were. But remember, most importantly, your two things are being compared. There has to be a comparison made. So here's some examples. All the world is a stage. So it's comparing the world and a stage, and it's saying that it is. One thing is another. Men are dogs. Sorry, boys, this is a common metaphor that's used. It's comparing men to dogs. Her heart is stone. Okay, it's saying that her heart is as hard as stone or as cold as stone. Literally a stone with a heart. Personification. I want to say that this is probably the easiest one for everybody. If you think of any Disney movie animated Disney movie as personification. It's when you give human traits to object or ideas. Now this is really important. Not only does it give human traits to something physical, but also a belief or an idea can have a human attribute or a human trait. So here's some examples. The sunlight danced. The thing or the object is sunlight, and it's saying that it danced. Well, humans dance, but sunlight can't, so it's personifying sunlight. Water on the lake shivers. So it's saying that the water that's on the lake is shivering, giving it that human trait. The streets are calling me. They're not literally calling you, but it's saying that it's drawing the streets. You're being drawn to the streets. But please remember, with personification, it's not just a thing or an object. It also can be an idea that is given human traits. Like this dude right here. Hyperbole, which is probably one of the most fantastic, absolutely wonderful types of figurative language. You'll see why. It's exaggerating to show a strong feeling or effect. It's overly emphasizing something. Here are some examples. I will love you forever. Now this caused a little bit of a conversation last year. Yes, you can love something forever and forever and forever. But literally, like, that's infinity. So, my house is 1,000,000 miles away. Okay, and this is something, yes, your house could be 1,000,000 miles away. However, when we talk about this, it's just the author saying that their house is so really far away. But instead of saying my house is really far away, he's using hyperbole and saying my house is 1,000,000 miles away, exaggerating it for effect. She'd kill me. Yeah, she won't literally kill you, but she's so angry at you that you're saying that she'd kill you. She's, that over exaggeration. Hyperbole is all about exaggeration. So when you have Mr. Captain Hyperbole, the situation is at least 1,000,000 billion times worse than I imagined. Captain Hyperbole, exaggeration. Now, idiom. Now, this may be a new one, this may not be a new one. An idiom is a saying that isn't meant to be taken literally. Okay? It doesn't mean what it says. It's kind of like a funny. So don't be a stick in the mud. Well, what do we mean by that? Well, don't be boring. Get up and move. Don't just sit there and be stuck. But they don't literally mean that they want you to be a stick in the mud. You're the apple of my eye. Okay, you don't literally have an apple in your eye. It's just saying that, you mean a lot to them. You're their focus. I have an ace up my sleeve. Like, you don't literally have an ace card up your sleeve. It just means that you have a trick. Okay, fancy way of saying things. But these are sayings that you cannot take literally. Because if you did, then you would literally be a stick in mud. And that's not what we mean by this one. Puns. This is what we like in the academy. Puns are fun. Yes, that rhymes, but they're probably one of my favorite ones. Puns are a form of word play in which words have a double meaning. Okay. So, I wondered why the baseball was getting bigger and then it hit me. Okay. So it's a lot of puns are like, you say it and then you're like, oh, I get it, haha. Well, you wondered why the baseball was getting bigger. It was coming towards you, and then you said, oh, then it hit me. Meaning, oh, then I realized it was coming at me. Well, it eventually, if it was getting bigger, it literally was going to hit you. So it's kind of a play on words. Here's another one. I'm reading a book about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put it down. Okay, so funny, haha, anti-gravity, which means you don't have gravity, everything floats. And when you say it's impossible to put it down, haha. So a lot of puns are just kind of like wordplay. Here's another one. I was going to look for my missing watch, but I didn't have the time. Get it? Lost its watch. Watch tells time. So puns are a lot like those, like riddles are basically wordplay, and they're a whole lot of fun. And we do that a lot in the academy, so try to identify the puns from any one of us because we do them daily. Okay, here's another one. Why don't you use a vacuum cleaner? Dude, vacuum cleaners suck. Get it? Vacuum cleaners suck up dirt, but he's saying that they suck, so it's play on words. Puns are fun. And now I have an oxymoron. Okay, and I know you're like, guys are laughing at that word, but an oxymoron is when two words are put together that contradict each other or they're opposites. So they shouldn't really go together, but we still put them together anyway. Like jumbo shrimp. Jumbo is really large, shrimp is really small. So these are the opposites, but we call jumbo shrimp, that's an oxymoron. You're pretty ugly. Okay, we have two opposite things here. We have pretty and we have ugly. Those two words separate are opposites, but when you put them together, it creates an oxymoron, meaning you're describing them. You're saying, well, you're pretty ugly. Careful, you'll get freezer burn. Okay, again, freeze is cold, burn is hot, but we put them together to say freezer burn, which is common. You know, you leave something in the freezer too long, it'll eventually get that cold burn. But freezer burn's an oxymoron because it's the opposite. And here's your jumbo shrimp. Well, the dude's like, well, I think I need a gallon of cocktail sauce. Jumbo shrimp finally has real meaning. So remember, oxymoron are two words that are opposites that are put together to describe something. Okay. So go ahead and complete your notes and bring them up to one of us to check, and then we're going to go ahead and work on figurative language in context.